Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to Pecan Ranch. I know it has been a very long time, about 6 months actually, so there is a lot to update you all on. This video, I'm going to give an abbreviated version of all of the things that have changed over the past 6 months. We've been very busy, and we've had a whole lot of additions to the farm. We've had a whole lot of new animals come into the farm. We have a whole lot of new equipment come into the farm. And we've got a good bit of new infrastructure that we have built and implemented onto the farm. So stay tuned. I'm going to update you all on everything that has transpired in this video. That way I can bring you all up to speed for the future videos that will be coming more regularly, I promise you. So stick around, and we'll see you folks here in just a minute. All right, folks, so as you saw in that intro, you saw a little preview of a few new things that we have going on here at the farm. What I'm going to do today in this video is I'm just going to bring you up to speed. I'm not going to go into too much depth into each new update. A lot of these things will require maybe some further explanation or even more details on why we have these new additions, what their purpose is, go into further depth into those in future videos that I am endeavoring to bring you folks more frequently, so that way I can keep you all up to speed with what's going on here in the farm. So I'm going to start with some equipment, since I'm already here before I head out where I keep most of my equipment. A few of the new additions, one of which I think may have made an appearance on the farm in a video or two possibly, is this 4-seater John Deere Gator. It has been on the farm before, but it wasn't mine. It was a cousin of my wife's. He's a family. He had it here in the past because he didn't really have a need for it, and he would come out here and ride it occasionally. But it wasn't mine, and he had so it was here on the farm, and then he took it back to his place, used it for a little while, but he doesn't really have a ton of land, and eventually decided he doesn't need it, so he was willing to sell it, and I was able to buy it from him. And it's a good addition. Again, I'll go into more detail in future videos, but having two side-by-sides has been real helpful, especially because this is a bigger side-by-side, but I wouldn't want to only have one big side-by-side, because in some instances it's nice to have the smaller one to get into less maneuverable spaces, and when you don't need this big limousine of an ATV to get where you need to go. But it is a nice piece of equipment. It runs and drives pretty good, and it has a bigger truck bed, seats more people, so it's good for moving more equipment or moving more things around here on the farm. So we've added a livestock trailer. Main reason we've added a livestock trailer is I found a good deal on one, and the when you have larger livestock, it's a necessity to have a good quality trailer to safely transport them if need be. And we were getting by just fine with our other trailer that I had outfitted for pigs, and it worked pretty good for pigs, but I wouldn't have trusted it to haul the things like cattle or donkeys, things of that nature, which we'll get into. We finally have a tractor on the farm. That's a big update, and this thing has been super helpful and useful. My neighbor is very gracious and is very kind, and has for the past year let me use his tractor anytime I needed it. And I just got to the point where I felt like I was relying way too much on his tractor, and I felt real bad taking advantage of his kindness, and found a good deal on a 1954 Farmall Super M, and I will definitely go into details on this video. And over the years, we will be restoring her to her former glory cosmetically. It runs really good, it's a powerful tractor, and it's been working great for us. So that kind of sums up the additions to the farm, equipment wise. Let's take a look at some of the new animals that are here on the farm. So if you all recall, this used to be our pig training pen. That has been changed. We're no longer going to be keeping pigs up here in the front pasture, primarily because these fellas have moved in. We have Becky right there. Right there is that black one there is Reba. Let's go in and say hi to the girls that we have here. And this is now the goat training pen slash home base for them. And we have Nigerian dwarf goats that we will be keeping primarily for dairy. And right now we've got Miss Becky Sue. We've got Dolly right there, well, Reba, who's run off, and then Barbara, who's hanging out in the hay feeder. That's for your food. So Becky is due to have kids any moment now. She's been showing some signs of going, late-term pregnancy, possibly going into labor, but she's been holding out on us. She's definitely getting ready to have kids any moment now, which is one of the main reasons why our livestock guardian dogs are not in here with them, and they are locked, and the goats are locked in here, because our livestock guardian dogs, they're new, and they're really good. They're really well trained to the goats. I've trained them. We'll go meet them here in a minute. In fact, let's go meet them right now. I'm trying to make this video as abbreviated as possible, so it's not a super long video. We can go into detail in future videos. So my boys here, Ruger Jr. and Remington. Hey Remington, this is Remington. He's a good boy. And this is Ruger Jr. Can't hardly see him because he's in a shadow and he's all black. There you go. There you go, big boy. He's my sweet boys. So they're guarding the goats, but not in with the goats because, again, they're kind of younger and a little bit hyper, and I was a little concerned with how they would react to little baby goats, especially little baby goats just being born. And also, I wanted to give Becky some space, so she wasn't so overwhelmed, because they do like to play with the goats. The goats like to play with them, but Becky was getting a little grumpy with them, so we moved them out for now until she kids, and then they can go and rejoin them, and then the goats will be let out to have access to this pasture. Again, it's winter time, so we don't really have a lot of growth in here. But they'll have a little bit more room to run than just this little pen. Barbara, the bigger black and white goat right there, she is also supposed to be pregnant. I don't have confirmation on that yet. With goats, it's kind of hard to tell until they're really late term into their pregnancy. So again, a lot more detail can be gone into each individual update here, but I want to bring everyone up to speed. So that's what we're doing here. And next, let's go meet the cattle and Miss Jenny. So we'll see you folks here in a second over at the cattle pasture. Okay, so as you can see, a whole lot has changed cattle-wise. First off, this is Charlie, our little baby Charlie. He's all grown up now. Now he's a big strong bull. He's our bull. His mom is no longer with us. You did see a little bit of what looks like Big Mama is not Big Mama. I got her that way, the Texas Longhorn. Her horns were already clipped. I did not clip them. It's a long story, but long story short, Big Mama did die. She got sick, and that is one of the reasons why you see infrastructure up, and I'll go into detail more the importance of having a cattle working system. Her death kind of gave me the motivation to go ahead and set this up so I could better treat animals if they do get sick. This right here is Deborah. She is a Black Angus heifer. She is going to be a cow soon. She'll be brought into cowhood whenever she does calve, which she should be calving this spring. Right here, this little buddy, this is Echo. He's one of our steer calves. His mama, we got him as a pair. She was older though and wasn't in great health, and she died, so he's kind of an orphan. But again, that's a whole nother video where I can explain purchasing cattle, some of the mistakes I've made, and how you shouldn't. This right here is Fox. He is a Jersey cow, or Jersey bull. He was a bull calf. He is now a steer. So he was a bottle baby. We bottle fed him for a while till Miss Tina over here, who's a Texas Longhorn. Miss Tina took over, and she did a good job of kind of adopting him. She doesn't let me touch her, not yet. She is 6 or 7 years old. Penelope here is she's 3 years old, and then my Black Angus girls here, Deborah, and where's LaFonda? There's, oh, thank you, Tina, for getting out of my way. There's LaFonda. LaFonda is also LaFonda and Deborah are about 2 years old. This is Miss Jenny. She is our cattle guardian. She gets a little cranky around food, but she is a sweet girl, at least to us. She's not always very friendly whenever the cattle get near her food and she's still eating. She might get onto them. And this is Delta. He is a steer calf as well. He is Tina's calf, and he's so much bigger than Echo because he's still nursing, and he's a ridiculously sized boy for it looks kind of ridiculous him nursing on her, but she is nursing both Fox and Delta and doing good of it. She's kind of my boss cow, the oldest of them. She's a little bit bossy with the other girls, but she is doing great as a nurse cow, and we're probably going to keep her around in case we have need for putting an extra calf on her. She does really well with that. So to sum it up, Charlie is the only one that is here from the last videos. We have these three girls here are all new. She is a British white mix. Charlie's obviously, he's a British white bull. And then we have our two Black Angus girls, Texas Longhorn. Her calf, who is a Longhorn Charolais mix. This guy is a Longhorn Charolais mix as well, but his mom is no longer around with us. And this is Fox, who is a Jersey. And then Miss Jenny, who's a 3-year-old donkey, obviously. And she is a sweetheart, but she does get a little bossy around the food. So I'll go into greater detail on this cattle working system, how I have it set up, the different variations that they can be involving cattle working systems, the importance of having a good cattle working system, or in the very least a catch pen, but preferably a good cattle working system and a squeeze chute. It's an expensive investment, but it, in my opinion, is absolutely necessary, honestly, no matter the size of your herd. So that should bring you all up to date. Right now they are in their winter pasture. I have put them into the rotation, and I've fenced in a couple more pastures out in the back. And so as soon as we get some good spring growth, they'll be moving off of here to let this rest, because it has taken a beating from the winter. All right, let's go out back and go see the pigs and see some of the updates that we've got going on back there. All right, so welcome back to our pig pastures. We are out here in paddock 4, and as you all saw on the way out here, a few changes have been made to infrastructure. One of which, the major update, is permanent gates. We put in permanent gates between the paddocks, and the main reason we've done that is we've been out here for over a year now, and we've kind of decided on exactly how we want our layout of our paddocks. I've made some minor adjustments to some of the fence lines where they are, and adjusted some of the paddock shapes and sizes, but not major adjustments, and more or less they're laid out the same. So since we're out, so we've added these permanent gates because it's easier coming in and out with equipment to use these gates that can swing versus what we had set up previously, which was a couple of T-posts and a pallet for the gate. Another infrastructure change you all saw on the way out here is our training pen for the pigs is now going to be back here in the back versus up front. Makes it a little bit easier on us so now the pigs don't have as long of a transition to move from the front pasture back to the back pastures where they spend most of their time in rotation back here. They're just going to come, they're gonna be born here. That's a new addition. They will be trained back here in the back, and then they'll rotate around, and that's also where we'll load them to take off to processing, so we don't have to move them back and forth up the wooded trail that we've had, which wasn't a hard process, but it is just easier. And another reason is we now have the goats that will be residing up there. One of the major updates with the pigs is this guy here is a Hampshire boar, and he's going to be our breeding boar. We're gonna keep him. Hey little girl. This is a little girl. She's a sweetie. She's a Hampshire as well. And we have a couple of Yorkshires. We got this set of pigs, we hadn't entirely intended on breeding pigs, but after this past year, acquiring piglets has been not impossible, but just more difficult, and we wanted to decrease the amount of variables that we're having to fight, and we're able to kind of keep things in-house and control a few things a little bit better. So we'll be breeding that Hampshire boar with some of our other pigs that we have that we'll be keeping as sows. And here they are now. Here's Cookie. She's a Gloucestershire, and I will be going into detail as the breed selection as to what we decided and why we decided to keep them, and the particular breeds that we're going to be doing our Hampshire Gloucestershire cross, and I'll go into more detail on that. Oh goodness gracious, Cookie. Oh goodness gracious. Her name is Cookie because she is, oh no, get off of her. You're squishing her. Okay, her name is Cookie because she's sweet, and she's got little spots on her like a chocolate chip cookie. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, sweet Cookie girl? They just moved on to this paddock yesterday, so it's fairly fresh. Hey, what's up, Cream? What are you doing down there? She's Cream, and she can be sweet. Sometimes she's sweet Cream, other times she's a little hyper, wants to play. We call her Sour Cream. Don't mind the mess. I still haven't decided what to do with this mess from the previous owner. The pigs don't really mess with it or get into it too much. They go down in there and they're only eating the stuff that they can eat, so it hasn't been problematic or hazardous to them, so I haven't fenced it off, but I'm probably going to do what I can to either haul off all of that garbage or fill it in or something along those lines. I just haven't got around to that. There's a lot of projects, a lot of things to do. So that's kind of an update on our pigs. Right now we have 10 pigs, 3 of which we'll be keeping, 1 boar and 2 sows. The rest will be going off to processing in a couple of months. So this has been an eventful 6 months, and I apologize for not putting out content and updating you all as it goes along. I made an update video a while back that never got released, and I didn't, and there'll be some footage of that sprinkled throughout in here, more or less, but it was outdated by the time I got around to putting it together, and I said, you know what, we need to do another update video, and so here we are. I've brought you all up to date. I'm going to go into more detail on a lot of the changes that have happened. I'm going to be better about putting content out for all of you, and and the main reason why I didn't is I got busy, and I kept saying, well, I'll do it whenever I'm less busy. The reality is I'm never going to be less busy. I own a business and I have a farm, and either one of those two on their own is enough to keep you busy all the time, and it is not difficult, or it shouldn't be so difficult for me to set aside some time to at least get you all at least one video a week. And that is what I aim to do, is put out some content for you all, keep you up to date, do my best to inform you, so that way any new farmers out there, anyone getting into farming, you can learn from any mistakes that I've made, you can avoid those mistakes, or perhaps it can even help some of the experienced farmers discover new tactics, new ideas, the way that I have, that can help improve your farm as well. That's my goal with this. I want to share my experience farming, and I want to let you all see kind of behind the scenes of my farm. I want there to be transparency in my farming operation for my customers who buy our pork. I want them to see how things are done here on the farm. I want new farmers to learn. I want experienced farmers to learn. That's the goal here at Pecan Ranch. So until next time, and I promise there will be a next time very soon, we will see you all back at the ranch.